Now we will travel back to the distant year of 1959 and discover with surprise how one person's philosophical ideas are distorted by mass-market culture and ultimately take on hypertrophied, monstrous forms. As you know, the 1997 film Starship Troopers had its source in a book by the great science fiction writer Robert Heinlein. And while the film became a clumsy parody of a militarized and somewhat fascist society, the book was about something else. I would compare Heinlein's society to a new Sparta, where citizens are responsible to society, but that's not what we're talking about now. In the book, there were combat suits. Yes, that's right. Individual capsules with armored mobile suits capable of scattering atomic charges left and right, making giant jumps and literally scattering opponents by the hundreds were dropped from carrier ships. And as far as I understand science fiction literature, this was the first detailed appearance of a mobile combat suit.
I had to wait until the fourth and fifth compartments cleared out before my capsule appeared in the barrel. Climbing into it, I had time to think. Did those ancient ones also tremble when they climbed into their Trojan horses? Or is it just me? Jelly checked each capsule for airtightness and packed me himself. At the same time, he leaned over and whispered, "Don't drag your feet in there, Johnny. Everything is like in training." The hatch above me slammed shut, and I was alone. Like in training, huh? I shook even harder. Following my own orders, I jumped across the street and, while in the air, used my handheld flamethrower on a row of buildings near the riverbank. They were probably made of wood, they burned nicely. Besides, some of them seemed to contain oil products or even explosives. At the same time, two shoulder-mounted rail bomb launchers fired two small bombs a couple of hundred yards to the left and right. But I didn't have time to see what they had done. At that moment my rocket found its target. Anyone who has ever seen a nuclear explosion flash won't mistake it for anything else. This, of course, was only a small one, about 2 kilotons in TNT equivalent, with compression allowing for a significant reduction in critical mass.
And you probably guessed where I'm going with this. Spartans in mobile combat armor, fighting for the glory of the Imperium of mankind. And now, almost 30 years after the book, in 1987, Warhammer 40,000 is released. And I'm not going to discuss the game rules now, I'm going to tell you about the lore from the series of books and Space Marines. In Warhammer, everything is much more epic. Here, each power armor is a unique artifact that has survived many battles and, in fact, owners. The product of high and sometimes long-forgotten technologies. A unique mechanism that sometimes takes decades to create. And yet, like Heinlein's suit, it can jump, enhance its owner and has a whole set of auxiliary systems and specialized weapons. For the Emperor. A little bit about Iron Man. Did you know that the Iron Man comic also appeared after Heinlein's book? Iron Man is a superhero from Marvel Comics created by writer Stan Lee, scriptwriter Larry Lieber and artists Don Heck and Jack Kirby. Iron Man first appeared in Tales of Suspense number 39 in March 1963. It's the same story about a mobile combat suit, but a little more elaborate. After all, here the Iron Suit is not just a backdrop for a futuristic world, but the main character. And yet Tony Stark doesn't scatter nuclear bombs around, so Heinlein's original, with much greater firepower, would be stronger than Stark's homemade version. Since the emergence of the first science fiction works in the 1950s, mobile combat suits have become an integral part of the fictional universe. With each passing year, these suits became more sophisticated and refined, and their evolution continues to this day. In Japanese culture, mobile combat suits, or mecha, became popular with the emergence of anime in the 1970s, but that's a whole different story.